let's talk about our spine a little bit when we explore our sun salutations. In the sun salutation, we take a little bit of a back bend or a big back bend, depending on the version that we're doing. So in order to warm up our spine, I really want to focus on the 3 different areas of our spine, trying to isolate movement in each area. To do this, I like to come to my hands and knees, finding where your wrists feel well supported here. Maybe the shoulders, elbows, and wrists are in line with each other, or you can take your hands a little bit more forward, just so that you don't have quite as much pressure on your wrists. We're gonna start with the tailbone, the lower lumbar spine here. So trying to keep the rest of my spine as neutral as possible. I'm just gonna find a tuck and an untuck of my tailbone. Really trying to notice how all of my spine wants to be involved in this movement. And just finding that lift of the tailbone and then the tuck under of the tailbone. You'll do that a few times and then find where that part of your body is nice and stable. And we'll start to move into the middle part of the thoracic spine here. I like to think of sending my chest down towards the mat and then finding a little bit of an arch through the middle of my back here. So finding that little bit of a push down of the chest or the cervical bone, and then pulling back up, trying to isolate this movement just to the middle part of my back. It's really easy to want to have the neck and the lower spine be getting involved in this, but we're trying to isolate that movement. Do a few rounds of that, and then we'll come to the cervical spine or the top of the spine, and we can just find a little bit of a head nod here, up and down. This is one of the easiest parts of our spine to isolate. Looking to keep the rest of the spine as neutral as possible. Do a few rounds there, and then we'll put it all together starting with the tailbone. So here I'm going to start by finding a little bit of a tuck of my tailbone. My lower belly begins to lift, middle of my belly begins to lift, ribs start to lift in, the front of my chest begins to lift, and then the last thing is going to be my head lowering, finding that cat shape. And then we'll reverse this starting at the tailbone, finding a little untuck of the tailbone, belly begins to drop, ribs begin to drop, clavicle begins to drop as I lift my head and neck up. So you'll notice, instead of doing a really quick cat-cow here, I'm really breaking down the movements to notice how each part of my spine works and moves, and it gives me a little bit more insight into those kind of sticky spots that maybe I need to pay a little bit more attention to. Let me know how this feels in your body after you try it.